Here's the cold truth that most men don't see until it's too late. You can give her the world and still lose her. You can be the man who shows up with everything. You build the life, provide the security, treat her like a queen, and devote every part of your soul to making her feel loved, cherished, chosen. You listen when she needs to vent. You show up when no one else does. You pour your energy into creating peace, comfort, stability. You think that's the formula. That the more you give, the longer she stay, but then one day she leaves, not in rage, not in chaos, but in silence. She walks away like none of it ever mattered. And you sit there stunned, thinking, how could she leave after everything I gave? It's because you gave her everything except the one thing her feminine core is wired to crave: emotional tension. The feeling of being in the presence of a man she can't fully figure out, can't fully control. Not toxic unpredictability, not reckless drama, but a kind of masculine depth and edge that keeps her guessing just enough to stay engaged. You gave her comfort when her soul was starving for fire. You gave her peace when she needed polarity. She needs to feel the spark of uncertainty, not in whether you love her, but in whether you're conquered. She needs to feel like she's chasing something that could slip away, not because you're disloyal, but because you're whole, the man she left you for. He might have had nothing, but he gave her one thing you didn't. He made her feel. And in the world of the feminine, feeling always wins over logic. Fire always burns brighter than comfort. And that's the truth that hits men hardest too late. You thought being safe was the answer. You thought consistency, reliability, and unwavering attention were the keys to making her feel secure, loved, and grounded. So you showed up again and again. You made her the center of your world. You texted her first, praised her endlessly, told her she was beautiful even when she didn't try. You were available, emotionally open, always there. And without realizing it, you became predictable. You became a routine, a pattern, a guarantee. And that's when the slow drift began, not because she stopped caring, but because she stopped feeling. The feminine is addicted to sensation. She wants to feel emotionally stirred, not just emotionally supported. She doesn't crave constant safety. She craves emotional elevation, the tension of not quite knowing what's next. She wants to feel the magnetic pull of a man who holds his own, who can care for her without collapsing into her. When you gave her too much too soon, without requiring anything in return, you removed the mystery. You gave her access to all of you before she had earned it. And she may have smiled at first, she may have thanked you, but deep down, she felt it. The imbalance, the ease, the absence of challenge. And challenge is what keeps her emotionally engaged. You didn't lose her because you weren't good enough. You lost her because you were too available, because she never had to wonder, because she never had to try. And while you thought you were being loving, she felt the polarity slip. She felt the energy go flat. She stopped chasing because you stopped leading. And in her world, if there's nothing to earn, there's nothing to keep. Not because she's selfish, but because she's wired to feel more than to receive. She didn't leave you for a better man. She left you for a man who made her feel something she couldn't feel with you anymore. It wasn't about who had more, who treated her better, or who gave her the most attention. It was about the emotional electricity, the pull, the edge. The man she walked toward may not have had your stability, your reliability, or even your loyalty, but he had a presence that shook her, a confidence that didn't seek her approval, a silence that made her lean in instead of tune out. And that was enough to spark something inside her that had been asleep for far too long. You were always there, always giving, always responding. You became so emotionally available that she stopped wondering what was going on in your mind. She could predict every move, every reaction, every gesture. And the moment she could predict you, she lost the tension that made her want you in the first place. Because attraction isn't built in the known, it's built in the mystery. In the slight unpredictability of a man who knows who he is and doesn't bend for anyone. Not even her. She never obsesses over the man who gave her everything with no resistance. She obsesses over the one who made her feel just enough. Uncertainty to keep her craving more. That's the man she checks for online, the one she replays conversations with, the one she still wonders about. Not because he treated her perfectly, but because he made her feel alive. You were the good guy. But he was the one she couldn't forget, because he didn't need her. And that energy, that emotional restraint, that sovereign presence was something her feminine couldn't help but orbit. Even if it made no sense, you thought giving her everything would make her stay. You believed that if you just showed her how devoted you were, how stable, how consistent, she would never look elsewhere. So you sacrificed, you compromised, you went all in without hesitation. You gave her your time, your energy, your attention without ever asking if she had earned it. And at first, she may have smiled, leaned in, reciprocated. But slowly you started to feel it shift. She wasn't as present. She wasn't as affectionate. She pulled back emotionally and physically. And you were left confused, asking yourself, what did I do wrong? What you did wrong was this. You removed the need for her to show up. You gave her everything before she had to prove anything. And in doing so, you flipped the dynamic. You became the pursuer, the giver, the one trying to earn your own place. But that's not what the feminine wants. Deep down, she wants to earn you. She wants to feel like she's being chosen by a man who didn't need her, but still picked her, a man with boundaries, with a mission, with a life that moves forward whether she's in it or not. When she realizes she can disrespect you, neglect you, test you, and still get the same version of you her desire dies. Not because she's cruel, but because there's no longer anything to earn, nothing to chase. You didn't lose her because you weren't good enough. You lost her because you made her too comfortable, because you made yourself too accessible. You forgot the value of distance, of mystery, of restraint. She doesn't want you to disappear, but she wants to feel that if she stops showing up, you will. That's not manipulation. That's masculine standard. That's the tension that keeps her coming back. You think love is about giving more, sacrificing more, showing more. That if you just do enough love hard enough, stay patient long enough, give deep enough, she finally see your worth. But that's not how feminine attraction works. It's not calculated, it's not logical, it's not a transaction. She doesn't feel pulled by what you do, she's pulled by who you are. And when who you are is a man constantly proving, constantly chasing, constantly trying to earn her love, you lose the one thing that creates magnetic desire. Masculine ROTDNESS. She doesn't want the man who gives her the world. She wants the man who is the world. The man whose life is full, whose purpose is clear, whose standards are immovable. The man who can love her without needing her. The man who can look her in the eyes and say, "This is who I am, take it or leave it," and mean it. That's the man she respects. That's the man she desires. Because respect is the soil where attraction grows. Without it, love withers. Without it, she questions instead of commits. You become unforgettable not by overgiving, but by giving with weight, with intention, with restraint. You offer your presence like a flame, not a flood warm, alive and untouchable. You give enough to spark her, but never so much that she owns you. And in that edge, in that calm refusal to be overrun, she melts. Not because she's been overwhelmed with affection, but because she's felt the strength of a man who won't trade his dignity for her attention. The man she can't forget isn't the one who tried the hardest. It's the one who stood the strongest, the one who didn't move unless it was on his terms. That's the man she chase. That's the man she remember.